Welcome to the Work-Life Balance Podcast. I am Kara.
And I am Maggie.
Together, we're a power real estate team with the Bajetti Partners in Nashville.
We believe that the hustle culture of today's driven entrepreneur who lives and works in Middle Tennessee requires balance.
Hey guys, welcome back to Work-Life Balance with Kara and Maggie.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back.
So another Wednesday, another topic.
Yeah.
And so today we were just going to throw out maybe a few questions and answer them.
Asked.
So let's do this.
All right. So I feel like one of the main questions that we get is, are rates going to come down?
Oh my gosh.
The real answer is,
do you
who
have
the
a
hell knows? Who knows? But my answer to that question every time I get asked is, do I think they're going to come down? Probably. Do we say this all the time? Do we have a crystal ball? No. But do the rates matter?
Not really.
It matters whether you can make the payment.
Correct.
What do you think on that?
I think the rates are fine. Honestly, in my opinion, I think they're good. I think the buyers are finally realizing that it's actually going to be okay. But again, like you just said, can you afford the payment?
Yeah.
It could be 18% and your payment could be $5,000. Can you afford it or not?
Exactly.
It really just depends on your comfortability.
Yeah.
So yes, that's the number one question we get all the time.
I feel like people get so bogged down by it and just what they read in the news and what they see on social media. Mm-hmm. And it's all about rates right now. It got so overblown last year when rates were 2s and 3s. Then people got used to it. And now it's at a normal rate and everybody's freaking out.
I just saw one come across that was 525.
And that's good.
That was great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's comfortable.
The last deal we did, our buyers had a 575, which is not bad at all.
Yeah.
Then if you're buying at that interest rate, you're obviously, right now, everybody acts like you're buying at the height of the market. But if you're a first-time home buyer, that's not a bad thing.
No, and you and I are pretty creative, and our lenders, I guess, would be the most creative about it, is, there's ways to get that to be a different number.
Yeah.
So, we were for a long time doing those 2-1 buy downs. Sure. I know we haven't been doing them as much because the rates kind of have stayed pretty steady. Yeah. But I mean, there's ways around it. If that's like a deal breaker for you to get into the market, then, just talk to your agent and talk to your lender and think of different ways that might, you can make it happen without being like at the top of your number.
Yeah. And I guess that brings us into like the second and most asked questions is, what can you ask for from sellers if you are a buyer, or if you're a seller that really needs to sell, what can you do to make the buyer more incentivized? So
you're the flipping champion on that. If anybody wants money taken from you and given to the buyer, Maggie's really good at that.
Well, and it's just honestly because we had to be so creative. Like in November, December, January, when it was so dead and like literally nothing was happening, and people wanted to keep money in their pockets and things like that, and it was just a hard market in general, you had to be creative, right? Yeah. So I always just ask, like, okay, what is your main objective? Is your main objective to have a lower monthly payment, or is your main objective to keep money in your pocket up front? And I mean, with most of the first-time home buyers, it's keep money in their pocket up front, because down payment is their biggest problem typically. Sure. So I'm always like, okay, well then ask for closing costs, ask for your title expenses to be paid for. And then, we always word it in a way that if there is a little excess of whatever they didn't use, say you ask for a $10,000 credit and you only need 8, you say like recurring and non-recurring closing costs. So then that can be added to like the bottom dollar, which could be put towards either buying down your rate or whatever the lender can be creative and use it for.
Yeah, because and that's a huge deal, because if you specify this amount of money is allotted for HVAC repair. Right. Well, what if HVAC repair didn't take up all that money? Well, then your buyers are actually not going to get that full allotted amount. So if you open it with reoccurring, non-recurring, means all closing costs, all extras, all everything. It's kind of inclusive.
Prepaid, so everything. Yeah. Then you can get paid back for your inspection that you paid for and your appraisal that you paid for and all of that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then if their answer is, well, I want a lower monthly payment, then you ask the lender, well, how much is it going to be to buy down their rate a couple points or 2 points or 1 point, whatever they can afford, and either get that from the seller, which is what I always like to do, or you can pay it yourself like I did in my case.
And you're seeing that the sellers are open to giving these credits right now, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, so like, why don't you share, like, are you coming in at full price and asking for a $10,000 credit back? Or are you going $10K over and asking for a $10,000 $1,000 credit, so they're getting their number?
Well, that's a really hard question, because I think it really just depends on the property and the seller. Because, I mean, obviously, I work with a lot more buyers than I do sellers right now. But if the property has only been on the market for 5 days and you submit an offer, and I always like to go under and then ask for $10K back to put them at asking if it's only been on the market a few days.
Right.
But a lot of people don't want to negotiate that low right out the gate, but they still want to be able to make the deal happen. So in that case, we would go over and then ask for less. But then if it's something that's been on the market for, 50 days or 45 days, then shoot, I'll go 15K under and ask for 10 and then see what they come back with.
Yeah, because what's the worst that can happen?
They say no.
I mean, they say no.
Yeah.
Well, and we always say, hey, at least answer.
Yeah.
Like, don't just completely throw us in the garbage. Like, just at least counter as if it's...
I think that's become less of a problem recently, though.
Yeah.
I don't think... which last year, we definitely had some people ignore us on some stuff, but this year, I don't think I've had a single person ignore an offer or not respond or anything like that.
It's because the market's changed a tad.
Yeah.
It's a little bit softer. And it's funny, actually, Micah said that to me yesterday. She goes, oh my gosh, is the market like... now that she's showing and she's being in it, she's like, is the market softening? Like, why? What do you mean there's a house for $500,000 on an acre in not Leiper's Fork?
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, and it's still on the market. That's kind of crazy. So yeah, we're seeing a change.
Yeah.
A little bit. I wouldn't say drastic in Middle Tennessee. No. But we are seeing a little bit of a shift. Yeah,
it has shifted a little bit, but I also think that a lot of those houses that sit on the market like that have a lot to do with the realtors and how they're marketing them. Huh? Because you can really do a lot for your sellers and get them more money than they probably anticipated if you just go the extra mile.
Yes.
And that just goes to like when I showed the property for my sellers the other day because their agent couldn't be there. Like real estate, I love to say this, but real estate's a story, right? So you can look at the property history, you can talk to a seller and hear that their grandma lived here back in the early 1900s or whatever. And people love that. Like they love that. So I don't know. I just feel like if you can really go put a personal touch on it, hold an open house where you're able to tell everybody the story about the house, then it's going to pull an emotional tie to it.
And I think out here, especially, there's so much history that like just, oh my gosh, like just sharing that one, it's got a historical sign in front of it, which we have so many of those in Franklin.
Even all across.
Yeah, it's wild. Or I can't remember now who it was, but Jason was our photographer. Jason was posting a video yesterday. He was in some log cabin that, like,
I saw that.
Yeah, who was it that lived in it?
Oh, I don't remember.
The explorer, way back. And it's just like, that's cool. Like you don't get that everywhere, you know? So that's special. And if you can touch on that, I mean,
I love it.
Yeah, people connect.
They do.
And then they've got a story about their house. Like, I live in so-and-so's old house.
Well, and then so really to answer the question blatantly, like what incentives can you get? Sellers are now paying for closing costs, things like that, title expenses. And then they're also a lot more lenient on repairs, especially if you do have a full price offer or close to asking. They'll either give you credit for things that need to happen or, they'll do them before closing. So I've seen a lot more of that recently, whereas last year you would submit a repair request and they might agree to one thing or give you a small credit. And now, I haven't really had one that they weren't willing to fix all or some. So
that and lastly is the home warranty.
Yes, forgot about that.
I know in the first year of you being in the business, you weren't putting those on your contract because you were doing things that weren't taking money out of the seller's pocket. Right. So it was like home warranty. If you wanted it, the buyers need to pay it. Where in all the years prior, it was always the seller paying for it because it's not that expensive. It could be maybe between $500 and $800, whatever package you're looking at. But that is now back, which is great. And it gives the buyers a little peace of mind, like that in case, day one, something happens, the dishwasher breaks.
And we had a girl in here yesterday talking to us about the warranties actually. And as a buyer, you can, if you get the seller to pay for 1 year, you can continue it to like 5 years or whatever. Yeah. Which, if you think about that, that can really help you. Like,
shout out to Choice, by the way.
Yeah, shout out Choice. They're the best.
Choice home warranty. They've got some amazing programs.
Yeah.
Way more impressive than some of the others.
Absolutely.
And actually ones that you can put on your seller that doesn't even have to pay a dime until close of escrow. And if for worst case, the escrow doesn't close, they don't have to pay it at all. And they can utilize that $75 service fee throughout the escrow to do little repairs. that came up on
anything happens.
Yeah. So I thought that was way cool.
I did too.
So we'll definitely be implementing that on listings and always putting it on our buyers' contracts from now on.
And it's such a good price. Like if you think about it, they have a program that's like, I think $2,100 for a 5-year warranty. That's insane. Like if you buy a house that the HVAC is 8 years old and you know it's going to go out in the next few years, you pay $2,000 instead of $12,000 when your HVAC goes out. Like it's just crazy, and I think it's a great thing.
I think it's especially not only regular homeowners but first time home buyers, because they have no idea, and you really don't understand how expensive things are until it actually happens. Electrical goes out, or your Sub-Zero refrigerator goes out. Well, those are $20,000, $30,000 refrigerators. You can get it covered for $75. Like it's wild. So anyways, all you agents out there, I would suggest you put that in for your buyers, and buyers, make sure you do that too.
Yeah. If you want a brochure, you can email us or text us, whatever. We can get you all the info on it.
Yeah.
But it's great. Okay. And so another question was, how do we comfort first time home buyers?
Oh, they're like little babies. You got to nurture and love and be patient.
Yeah.
I don't know. We work with so many first-time home buyers, and I think that, we are all in that position. You were just a first-time home buyer a few months back.
Yeah.
6 months maybe now?
6 months, 7 months, yeah.
So I think that was so great for you to experience it firsthand, because you can see not only like the transactional side of it, but the emotional side, and how it makes you a better agent because you can actually nurture both sides of that.
Yeah.
So like it's been a while since I've been a first-time buyer, but I was your age when I was, and I remember that like it was yesterday. It's frightening. It's overwhelming. It's a lot of freaking money.
Scary.
It's all of the above, right?
Yeah.
Scary. It's exciting, everything. So I think for us, just taking the time to educate them, making sure that they understand what they're signing.
Yeah.
And understand that they can make that payment.
For sure. I think the number one thing for me is don't put pressure on them. If you put pressure on them, you're going to scare them away. 100%, you're going to scare them away.
So patience.
Yeah, because it's a huge purchase. And a lot of these people are spending quite literally every single dime that they have to make it happen.
Absolutely.
So it's like, if you put any kind of pressure on them, they're going to run for the hills and they're going to get scared. So I think just educating them and making them aware that, everything's going to be okay and the world's not going to fall apart after you spend every bit of money that you have.
Yeah, that's scary. It's like your whole nest egg, when you're 25 or whatever. And I
think another way is like with those incentives. I think the incentives like automatically make them comforted, and just I don't know. I guess us knowing how to help them also makes them feel comforted, because they can sit here and hear us talk about all the options that they have and all of the things that they can get and how easy it can be. And so that brings them like a sense of peace.
And I think too, because we educate ourselves so well with like different programs. We have a really like deep connection with our lenders. So it's like we know what the new programs are. And there's so many that are 100% financed through the state of Tennessee that we can get them. That's an option. Or if you make under $108,000 a year, there's this program. There's so many that you need to know about. Although, yes, we stay in our lane and that's the lender's job. But, your preliminary meeting with your client is always the same questions.
Yeah.
What are the interest rates? Can I qualify? I work this job. Yeah. And, we vaguely answer. We don't know those answers until they get the paperwork, but we can kind of guide them to the lender that we think is most appropriate for, first time buyers or VA buyers or whatever. So it just helps having an educated agent.
For sure.
I mean, at all levels, really.
Yeah, and one lender doesn't fit all.
No.
I mean, there's different programs that everybody offers that can help people in different ways. But, yeah, like you said, just finding the best fit. Mm-hmm. And like we said earlier, the worst that they can say is no, too. And the worst the sellers can say is no, and the worst the lender can say is no. So everybody I talk to about it, I'm just like, talk to somebody.
Yeah.
It's free to talk to somebody. Let them look at your stuff and let them tell you, yeah, you can do this, or no, you can't. And this is what you need to do to get there.
And we usually give them, 2 to 3 options because, personality also is important. And you're going to be sharing your whole portfolio of wealth and whatever you've got, every last penny you have with this person. So there better be some sort of trust and loyalty and relationship that you're building. And if you're like, I'm not interested in you, okay, next. Because there are a million lenders, just like there's a million realtors. And you've got to connect to both of them and create your little team. Mm-hmm. And that's how you have like a fun, successful transaction.
Agreed. For sure. For sure.
For sure.
And that's why people always work with people that they like, know, and trust. It's like the golden saying in real estate, I guess.
Yep.
Like, know, and trust.
Like, know, and trust.
Okay. And the next question is how to manage a buy and sell. So if somebody's moving from one place and going to another.
Was that more about, are we talking more contingency on that one? Or are we talking, what are you, blah, blah.
Okay.
How do you want to talk about that one?
Well, both.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's different. It's different if somebody already has a house that they know that they want to go to, or if they just know that they want to sell their house.
Okay.
Right?
So if they just want to sell their home, but no plan B on where they're moving,
right?
You know, or winging it, maybe moving in with a family member or moving into an apartment versus
knowing where they want to go and having to sell their house to get there.
And having a contingent offer and doing all of that. So clearly they're both totally different.
Yeah.
And they both can be frightening because contingencies are scary because you're relying on one deal to close to make another one happen.
And sellers are scared about that sometimes.
Well, we're in one right now. And, you know, thankfully they have a plan B, which is move in with a family member. But I know that's not like their ideal choice. Yeah. So and then it becomes, you know, a lot of crunch time for us or you and just, okay, we have like 17 days till we close. We need to get a quick escrow.
Yeah.
Right. So
for sure, which it can be equally stressful on the other side because if you don't know what you're going to do, then it's crunch time and you don't have a house on the market that you like. It's like, oh my gosh, well, are you going to pull your house off the market and decide not to sell? Or are you still going to go through with it and then pray to God a house that you like comes up?
Had that happen last year. Do you recall?
Yes, I do. I do recall very well. But I feel like managing a buy and sell is definitely one of the hardest things about our job, just because if you already have a house that you know you want to go to and you're having to put your house on the market for it, then you have the scaredness and the anxiousness of, okay, well, is my house going to sell in the time period that I need it to sell? Because typically a seller will put a time period on you for when you need to have it sold, which, I mean, why would they not? They're trying to protect themselves too.
Sure.
So that's tricky just because there's a lot of emotion in it. And you have to be really smart about how you price and how quickly you offload something. Mm-hmm. And then also, you know, doing your inspections and stuff on the other house before you even have your house sold or you have your house under contract is a whole nother beast too. Mm-hmm. So I think that you have to manage people's emotions a lot with that. So that's a little tricky.
And I would say it's definitely way more stressful if they don't have somewhere to go already.
Yeah.
You know, and if they do, then yeah, it's just as easy as selling a home.
Right.
But if you're facilitating their moving plan,
right,
that is, yeah.
And then just managing the closings on that day. Like if you have a double closing on one day, having to go from one to the other to have them move in on time.
And making sure the wires come in within wire times because, you know, there's wire cutoffs. There's so many little things. And I think that, you know, that's such our job that the clients don't have to deal with. And it's all these little putting out fires and making sure everything is completely organized behind the scenes so that you get to come in, you get to drink the mimosa that's sitting on your table, cheers to the closing and moving on to the next chapter. And so again, like that is such a huge deal for the agent you choose to be able to provide that easy, smooth process.
But I like how you said that, doing it all behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, you need to work your ass off. If you are doing a buy and sell, you need to work hard for your buyer or seller, or in this case, both. Because you have to just work quick more than anything.
Well, and side note, I mean, doing everything behind the scenes, what happened last week? Quick story, but like our client wanted to get out of a deal because of an inspection report didn't look so hot for him. He wanted to bill. Well, the seller didn't like that so much, even though we were totally in all of our inspection periods and contingencies, and they tried to take the money. And it's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The client never knew a peep about this.
Never knew. And we fought for 4 days.
She fought the agent. I fought the broker. Finally got the release of money about 4 days later.
And they never knew.
Never knew a damn thing. All they knew was their money was back in their account.
Yeah.
And that's what I attribute to damn good agents. They don't need to know anything. Why would you freak out your client? Why would you freak them out? Because it doesn't help the situation. They're going to go in panic mode, and then they're going to be pissed at us, who's pissed at the broker over there. So it's just a total. So yes, everything happens behind the scenes. The only time an agent or a client needs to know is if it's affecting them directly that we cannot fix.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, doing it behind the scenes saves you so much headache, because in that case, he could have just gotten so scared about it and gotten emotional about it and pulled his house off the market, and he wouldn't be in the position that he's in right now.
That would have snowballed down the hill, girlfriend. Yeah. Especially because he's an older gentleman and, you know, it's scary.
It is scary. It's extremely scary. And that's why you need people that know what they're doing and know how to protect you. Yeah. Like, if I would not have known that we were in the right about that, then it could have gone south like that.
Yes.
And I really think that agent knew that I was young and wanted to kind of push me over a little bit. And I'm just not going for that. But it's just having to manage the emotions is a huge thing on that too. Because do I think that our buyer really should have bailed on that house? No, I don't. But am I going to tell him that? Absolutely not.
No, and that's 100% why there's time frames.
Exactly.
Per contract, if your time frames and you're in that, you can bail for any reason in that contingency.
Yeah.
And he had 100% right to not like that inspection and to leave.
Yeah.
And in the end, we got his money back, and now we're back to looking again. Mm-hmm. So, no.
Which I think that's
sidebar, but
that's a huge part of our job, is like biting our tongues when we have opinions, because our opinions don't freaking matter.
No.
At the end of the day,
no,
it does not matter.
No.
Whether we like a house, it matters whether they like it and whether they want to go for it, because at the end of the day, it's their money, not ours.
100%. Our job is to get it for them and get them the best price and the best incentives.
Exactly. Which I think we do a good job at.
Do a great job at that. Maggie does a good job at that. Anyways, what's the last one?
The last question.
Oh, you starting on that one.
Kenny came up with this.
Kenny.
What keeps us grounded in the craziness of the real estate world?
You first.
Job never stops. You first. I feel like, okay, that is crazy though. Like, our job really never stops.
No.
Never.
Like, you're literally going to get off this mic. You're running an hour and a half away to go show Fiveplex. I'm getting off this mic. I'm going into the closing table to sign documents. And then from there, going to show property. It does not stop.
Never.
But the way it keeps us grounded is I'm getting on a flight in the morning to Key West.
Kara's going to the beach.
Go to the beach for 3 days of R&R.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the only way I keep grounded, because I have not only this, my kids, and, you know, everything else that goes on. So I have got to have mental clarity, or I get just a little bit overwhelmed. You know, I mean, I'll just get like, whew, I need a little bit of chill. You know, I feel like you're kind of like that too.
I do get like that.
Maybe
I felt like that
yesterday,
yesterday, I think.
Did you?
Yeah. And it's just like, okay, got to take a breath.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and you had a shadower with you, which brings out probably maybe a little bit more of.
Yeah. And I'm also, unlike you, not good at taking vacations, because I feel like when I come back, it's like everything.
It's 100% everything.
It feels like playing catch up all the time when you leave and come back.
That's the hardest part.
Because even when we're gone, our job still doesn't stop. Like, you still have people messaging you. You still have things to facilitate and things, whether you're gone or not. So you like to get away, whereas I like to stay home.
I know, but I do totally feel that with exactly what you're saying. And you went, when you were at the beach a couple weeks ago, I know that you were still working at 7 a.m. because I would see you send an email with like something about the docs for that day or something. But I know that like you get back and you're overwhelmed, and I feel the same. That's the hardest part about vacation, because it's not a job where you get to go check time card in and I'm off the clock. It's not like that. The beauty of it is, though, we can travel with our laptop and pop on for an hour and get all our shit done and still enjoy a beautiful day and like with your family and loved ones. But yeah, it's not like okay, boss, I'm out. Hold the fort down.
No.
Thankfully, we have each other to bounce off on a little bit, but yeah, it's not. I'm not ever really 100% unplugged.
No, I feel like what makes me just the most sane is if I just get a day where I get to stay home and do nothing but clean my house and pick up and chill.
Yeah, and
not look at my phone, which is like rarely ever. but that is my perfect day. That is what keeps me grounded. And we had this discussion almost exactly a year ago, because it was just crazy. And I was like, I need a day off. And you were like, then take a day off. Like,
take a day.
Just take a day. And I was like, okay. I didn't know that was an option, but okay.
Well, I'd rather you take a day than have a meltdown.
Yeah.
And
I'm not the meltdown type.
No, but it can get overwhelming. We have been going full freaking throttle. You know, like, I'm going to tell you, I think that, I mean, we're on point on all of our goals, if not bypassing them. And so there has to be a little bit of,
I know.
Hard to do. It's hard to do.
Yeah, it is. And I get mad at Reed all the time because he's like, you just need to turn your phone off. I'm like, you just don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
Just shut up because you don't get it. Like,
I know, because he gets to leave his job.
Yeah,
He
you
has
have 9 to 5. where
9
you
to
can
5. Yeah.
Literally, like you said, punch in, punch out. Bye, boss. See you later.
I haven't had a 9 to 5 since I was in college. I don't even know what that looks like.
No.
And neither has my husband. So our life is just fucking chaos.
But I like it.
You like the chaos?
I know that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But I like chaos. Like,
Yeah.
which I do. And okay, another way that kind of keeps me grounded is like I need one day at the office where I do nothing but on my computer. You know that.
Yes.
And it's typically Mondays, and that's why I was like squirreled out yesterday, is because I didn't just get to sit down, get my shit together, and figure out what I need to do for the week. And that's what I like to do on Mondays. It's like a reset day, or even Sunday night. But just being able to sit down at the computer, put all my notes in, figure out where I'm at, and figure out what I need to do next.
Monday's always our organization day.
Yeah.
And yes, yesterday was chaos. Your dad came in, your uncle came in. We had a walk in. It was a good Monday. It was a good Monday, but it wasn't a normal Monday.
Not at all. So it threw me off for the whole week. But
know.
it's okay. And we keep grinding.
We keep grinding. So we're just, here to talk.
We're just here to talk. No, we just wanted to answer some commonly asked questions, and hopefully that helped a little bit. And if you guys want to pop on our Instagram and send us some more questions that maybe you have or other people have, then we are happy to answer.
We're thinking a Q&A would be good. Yeah. Because we had a lot of questions just randomly, and I think it'd be fun to put them all down and answer them all for y'all. So send them in, like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. And we will see you next week.
See ya.
All right, see ya.
Insurance should never be a hurdle when purchasing a home. It's one of the most important purchases of your life and should be handled with proper care.
Whether that be your first home purchase or the next addition to your portfolio, reach out to the Sally Insurance Agency with Shelter Insurance for a free consultation so you're confident that you are protected when it matters the most.
Call Shay and Sally at 865-671-6451.